At the end of the day, people want to know what you think, what your vision is.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a solid idea of what you want and you don't flounder on that, then people tend to respect you more.
Welcome to the Red, Green, Blue podcast.
All right. Welcome to the RGB podcast. We're excited to be here with Whitney Ingram, who's directed a feature film and has done a number of commercials and has a popular Instagram page on directing, which is, it's got over 20,000 followers, and she's got a lot of opinions and insights onto directing. And I also want to point out that this podcast is brought to you by redfinchlab.com. A place to get all your analog film processed, redfinchlab.com. You can send it from anywhere in the United States. Again, redfinchlab.com. Anyway, first question I have is, what was it like directing your feature film?
It's actually a short.
Oh, short.
Yeah,
I mean, you're short, but you wrote it, right?
I did write it.
You write it
yeah.
and directed it.
So I wrote, directed it, DP'd it, and edited it as well.
Wow, yeah. See,
yeah.
It's nice in a way. Technology allows you to do that nowadays, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I wasn't planning on DPing it. I don't normally do that, but my DP just didn't work out, and I had a very limited window and a bit of a chip on my shoulder, and I had lost my job at the time, so I was like, I'm going to go make a film. And then I built up my Blackmagic Pocket Cam, and I just went out and did it, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was just for fun.
Just for fun.
Just random story for fun. I've been wanting to make something for a long time, and I usually make at least one short film a year. That was my seventh. So
7th overall. You've done 7 short films. That's quite a few.
Yeah. I mean, the ones in school, I wouldn't say I would be proud to show anybody, but technically, yeah, I do have 7.
7.
So,
well, we all have to learn.
Right.
And the only way to do is learning is doing, and doing is fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I always say that. Like, to learn how to direct or to learn how to do movies, you watch movies, you make movies. No other way. And the same thing if you want to sculpt, look at sculptures, make sculptures. That's just the way you learn art. And people get stuck in a lot of other things and art teachers and so on. But you just got to go out and do it. Take that risk.
Yep.
So, great. So what was the most difficult thing about doing it? I mean, how did you get people to work on it? I mean, because you didn't have a budget, obviously.
Right.
How big was your crew?
It was 10 people.
10? That's quite a bit.
Yeah. So I was working at a place that had an in-house studio. So I was kind of always having side projects going on. So a couple of my coworkers, we just started talking about it, and they wanted to make something as well. And I wrote a script essentially like at my location. So initially I wrote it at my work, and then I wrote it across the street from me at this park, and then in my apartment. And then I just wanted to make something that had no dialogue and was a little bit more action-packed, but also a very kind of like emotional ride with no dialogue or anything like that, just to kind of see if I could do it. And I always thought those movies were really interesting anyway.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I ended up getting let go randomly, and I had 2 months before my lease was up. And I was like, okay, well, I can either make this when I have time between jobs right now and just like hope it works out and like put all this money into it and time into it. And I had like a month and a half to pull it off. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And my DP bailed, but then I knew if I got this gaffer, I could DP it because I'd worked with him before.
Yeah.
And I was in Logan. So it was a little bit of a ways for me to get people to come up there. So I was like, okay, I got to find people who already live up here in the key roles at least. So the main actress, she lived in Logan. She was really excited to work with me. I just kind of made all these little connections along the way, and then I try and get people excited about it. Part of it is I had a 2-day shoot. I try and condense it as much as possible.
2 days. That's a good idea. That's the best way to save money is shoot short.
Yeah, and each day was one location. So the first day was all in my apartment, and then the next day was all outside.
Yeah.
And we did have a little bit of rehearsals, and we did end up having to do 1 day of pickup shots with 2 of my actors really quick just because we ran out of light, and they've never done any kind of stunts or anything like that. So that took a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Because I'm crazy and I wanted them to do stunts. And my other actor who was going to play the lead guy had ended up bailing because he got a job on a commercial.
Oh, wow.
And that's what's hard about doing free stuff is like if someone gets a bigger paying job, they're probably going to take it over you.
Yeah.
So I understood. It was kind of a bummer, but luckily I had my boyfriend as a backup, and it's a very physical
There's what
role.
boyfriends do.
There's
or
no
girlfriends.
there's no acting involved, and like there's going to be a bag over your head most of the time, so not too big of a deal. But it ended up working out really well. We had so much fun. I've worked with a lot of those people before, so I kind of already knew. And then the rest of the people I found on Facebook, just by like telling them about the story. I would do like a little bit of a mood board, kind of get a log line, kind of get people interested. Um, and then just try and keep it as organized as possible and trying to see who I get. And I ended up getting like really great people. So somehow that all worked out.
Well, that's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about directing commercials? What was that like?
Yeah. I mean, so with Creatively, I was really excited because it's so much similar to doing a short film because it's more narrative, like longer form commercials. So I was kind of already writing stuff similar to their style. So it really wasn't that big of a leap. It was just kind of learning how their format goes to actually sell something. Like I would never put client reviews in a script or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. It was a really great challenge creatively because all we were doing was writing scripts specifically for this brand, for their brand goals or whatever it was. And everyone I worked with was just so funny. And it was just a constant like whirlwind of like trying to figure out what the client wanted while trying to stay true to Creatively's vision. And, make it fresh and interesting at the same time. But honestly, it really isn't that much different than the other stuff that I've directed. It's just there's a client on set. I guess that's the biggest difference.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. So who shows up? Who showed up?
Yeah. So both of them, I only was able to shoot 2 commercials, but yeah, both the clients were there. A lot of times the producers will kind of keep your distance from them just because, they might not have, the eye that they're looking for, a good suggestion on set, or it just might be more of a distraction. So they kind of kept them away from me a little bit, but a couple times they did come over to me and were laughing and talking to me too at the same time. So that's always good to see because at the end of the day, you do want the client to be happy because they hired you to do this job for their brand. So there's a little bit of pressure, especially when they're on set. But as soon as you see that they're happy, it makes it all the more worth it and enjoyable.
No, that's something I observed about commercial shoots is as much performance. In fact, one shoot I worked on, I swear we had the shot in the first 10 minutes, but we kept working for another 3 hours just because, you just can't like leave after 10 minutes. You know, I mean, you have to like, go through the motions. They're paying a lot of money for this. So,
exactly. Yeah. Part of it is putting on a show, like making them feel good, making them feel confident about the choices that you're making and that all this money that they put into it was worth it.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, honestly, a lot of it's also just showing them a good time. Making them feel good. It's like part of the sales process. You want them to come back and shoot another film with you, another commercial. Well, that's great. So what have you learned the most during your time directing movies?
There's so many things because there's so many facets to directing. I guess the biggest thing is having confidence that your ideas are good. For a long time, I would always second guess myself all the time because there's so many questions coming at you and so many different avenues you can take and so many different people you can listen to. Yeah. But at the end of the day, people want to know what you think, what your vision is. And if you have a solid idea of what you want and you don't flounder on that, then people tend to respect you more. They tend to try and make your vision come to life because they see it themselves. So being more clear on your vision and being able to, rally the troops together to get behind you is something that I've really enjoyed, kind of like a team leader. Like I played sports growing up, so I liked the team aspect of collaborating with people and getting people excited. And for the most part, the people that I've worked with in film, they all love movies just as much as I do. So it's an enjoyable process. But I think with directing, there were a lot of times where you could easily have people walk all over you if they feel like you don't know what you're doing, kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Kind of second guessing everything.
Well, especially, I'm sure as a woman in film, right? But
Yeah.
it's like, I think to me, and that's something that really surprised me when I started directing, was how many people on set would be like, really resent you, quite frankly, and feel like they should be directing it. But like they had no idea what you went through to get to this point where you're actually shooting.
Right.
You know? And they're like, well, honestly, I don't even know where it comes from. The only thing I can think of is they have actually never made a movie themselves. And so they think being on set is a time to debate decisions. But really, all the decisions were made months before you actually started shooting.
Yeah, exactly.
And in my opinion on it is, you should go with your vision because that's what you planned on, and a lot of things came into it and went into it. And especially if you're younger, starting out, people are going to do that. And also, you're the one who's going to have to live with the consequences. And when you get into editing and you're like, wait a minute, I second guessed myself. I went with dumbass Jim's suggestion.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting here looking at it, and dumbass Jim was like, is a real dumbass, which I found out on day 3 of shooting. But I let him second guess me, and now I have to live with his stupid thing in my movie.
Right.
So yeah. And I do think, like, especially in small independent movies, that kind of like, I think if like you're like Steven Spielberg, nobody's going to second guess you. I'm sure people do, but it's probably like Tom Cruise is like, hey, what about this? Not second guessing, but but on set of your independent film where it's like so little separating people. But again, if you're the director and you spend all the time with it, all the pre-production, don't let someone who just barely showed up on the project and probably honestly hasn't even read the script. You think about that.
Right.
I bet 99% of people don't even like look at the script.
Yeah.
Let alone like have lived with it for as long as you.
And there's so many different like little things that go into your vision too that could easily be misinterpreted by people, especially when they're on set. So it might look a certain way to someone when I know that this is like the actual kind of look and feel that I want to go with, even because a lot of my stuff is, I would say, awkward. I remember Lindsay was saying like, wow, you have me going through like 5 different emotions like within 30 seconds. I was like, oh yeah, I guess I do. So the tone of a lot of my stuff is, I guess, a little offbeat, and like the dark comedy genre, I really like the absurdity of it. So yeah, I know a lot of people like have seen that and they're just like, what is this? But I'm like, well, that's what I like, I guess.
Well, that's what we're doing. And again, like, what do they know? I mean, again, like whenever someone's giving your opinion on movies or something on your movie, just kind of stop. And I remember there was this one woman I knew, and she was just badmouth everybody's music. She would go up to you as a conversation opener and say, what music do you like? And you're like, I don't know, this. And then she would like, well, that's stupid, this and this and this. I'm like, yeah, she did like to everybody. I was like, bashed on everyone's music taste. And then finally somebody, after about this, this was actually working on a month-long project. One of the other crew people went up to her and said, but what music do you like? And she was like, Katy Perry. We're like, what the? Like, you're acting like this like elitist music snob bashing everybody's music. And you like the most commercial, like pop, whatever, Katy Perry. You know what I mean? It's like, so yeah. And then the crew is like, well, whatever. But anyway, yeah. Especially if people are talking about movies, you're like, oh, what movie do you like? And they could say, just something that's just not like what you're doing. And that might work if they ever make a film. But I think it's just easier for people to kind of try to co-op all the work you did and then be the big man on set by trying to influence you. And especially as a woman, that would just happen naturally.
Yeah, I do have to be a little bit more firm at the beginning. And for the most part, the people I work with, I know. So, I mean, I've worked with them before. So obviously.
Yeah. So how do you say no? To me, that's the number one job in a director, is saying no.
Yeah. I'm super nice about it unless you're,
like, no. Okay. So we're going to role play here.
Okay.
We're going to act. You act you. And I'll act like a crew guy who's like, are you sure you want to do that shot? Because I just really think it would look much better over here.
Yeah, I mean, we've already gone through this several times, and then I've talked to the DP about it too. And then honestly, with this tone and like with the time schedule that we have, this is probably the best option that we have. But I really appreciate your input here, but we're gonna go ahead and do this.
Yeah, that's way nicer than I would be.
Yeah, I usually explain it like that.
Yeah, like me, I would
Yeah.
say, no, we've put a lot of thought into this. We're doing the shot here.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it might
that's
even
why
be that
that's it.
simple.
And then I'd
Yeah.
just be like, that's it.
hmm
And do you want to leave? Because this is what
Yeah.
we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, I feel if you are in a situation like that, starting out is very important. Like the first day of shooting, or even the 1st
Mhm.
shot, you lay down like, no, I'm directing this.
Right.
Like
yeah.
I even had that happen in one of my most successful short films.
Mhm.
I even had my brother. I was like, okay, we're gonna shoot here. We're doing this. And he's like, no, Mark. I think we shoot here. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I storyboarded this out. I've thought it. We're shooting here. That was it.
hmm
And that changed the whole tone. And I'm so glad I did that. Like on the first shot.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah. So establish
Mhm.
your dominance.
Yeah.
Punch someone in the throat.
Yeah.
You're like, no, we're doing the fur here. Pow. No. But again, especially, I mean, your pain. I mean, it's your, I mean, this is a sad story I saw at a film festival. It was kind of a film. A guy was talking about all the problems he had. It was a very low level film festival. It was actually at the Comic-Con here.
Uh-huh.
And he said, the thing I got is that like, when I was like shooting with them, like everyone was my friend and we were having a great time shooting. But then when I was in the editing room, they all went on to their other projects and I was just stuck with all this footage and I had to try to make something out of it. You know, again, also that's kind of a thing. Like I hate to break it to people, but if you're paying somebody, they're not your friend. It's just impossible. It's
Yeah.
not like if you're like writing a check to them, they'll be nice to you because they like the check, but it's impossible for you to be them to be your friend.
Mhm.
And they're going to try to extract as much money out of you during the course of the film as they can, whether it's adding more shooting days, working slow, doing whatever it takes. And then it's just not their problem. At the end of the
Right.
shoot, they just have their check and you have the garbage footage.
Well,
you
and
know?
no one's going to care about your project as much as you do.
No,
Ever.
nobody.
So,
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, and that's the important thing. Honestly, I've had crew members like that on shoots, and now I just fire them. As soon as I can
Yeah.
tell, I'm like, you're just really here just trying to extract money out of me, and you're not doing a very good job. Like,
Mhm.
we'll just get somebody else who wants to be here.
Yeah.
And you can go, give my best to Steven Seagal. I don't know, whoever you envision. Steven, because Seagal hasn't been in a movie in decades.
Yeah.
So if you're men of a certain age, maybe the people most guilty of this. But, whatever you envision your project on, because clearly you don't want to be on this project,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. There's some people I wish I could have fired in school. That was probably my biggest hurdle was dealing with people in school.
Like other classmates.
Yeah.
No, that's a hard
So,
situation to be
You
in film
can't
school.
really fire them. So
Well, if they're working for free,
that
that's
too.
another situation. But honestly, even then, if they're second guessing you and stuff, fire them.
yeah.
I mean, you can, because they're being a cost. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm a firm believer that if someone's not helping a project, they're hurting the project. There's no in between.
Yeah.
And again, everyone in film school, everyone's a director. They're resentful that you're directing.
Mhm.
But like whatever it is, you actually put together a project. You're shooting it.
Right.
And they're not,
Mhm.
and they're here and they're in this role. If they don't want to be there, then they shouldn't be there.
Right. Yeah. There's several people that I will never work with again just because of their attitudes on set or being a little too slow or just being really negative because it brings the whole vibe down. And like my set is my happy place. So if someone's being really negative, it's just distracting and it's just bringing everything down.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
general, so.
Well, especially if like they're using it, like especially again with independent work, like,
Mhm.
do you know I worked on? I'm trying to think I'm trying to think of a really old lame movie. I worked on Knight Rider.
Yeah.
Actually, I've had people pull that on me.
Really.
I'm not kidding. I'm like, dude,
Great.
I'm in my mid 40s and I watched Knight Rider when I was like 6.
hmm
So there you go. It's a while ago, and so yeah, and what it is they're just putting themselves. They're also diminishing everyone else who's there
Right.
by acting like they're too good for this project,
hmm
and that just makes everyone else like feel bummed, and everyone else is probably excited to be working on a movie. I mean, making a movie is fun. It's it's an honor, quite frankly,
Yeah.
to actually work on a movie. Very few, almost nobody gets to do it. So yeah, so. In those situations, what happened to you? Like, how do you feel they undercut you? I'm just curious because this
Um,
will help the audience recognize it when they see it, even if
yeah.
they're in film school.
So there was just someone in my group. So my group was basically assigned to me for my senior project, and
Oh, so you didn't get to pick them. Again, that's
I
a film
didn't get
school
to
thing.
pick
Yeah.
them.
Like
Yeah.
everyone needed to be on a project and they got assigned to you. Yeah.
Right. And I probably should have said more, but I was so stressed out trying to like get this project done that I was just focused on that. But he was in charge of DIT, and people were telling me he was just talking crap about the production to everybody who would listen while we were on set.
Yeah.
And that's not fun to hear. And then he was also in charge of editing, and he wouldn't look at the notes. He wouldn't, like, I had to sit down with him, and it was like pulling teeth trying to get him to actually do what I said to edit, because the way he edited it didn't make sense. Some of the lines of dialogue were missing because he didn't look at the script. Like, it was very clear that he was trying to sabotage the project. Just me kept trying to
No,
like
people will do that.
yeah,
Again,
and
nothing,
yeah.
honestly, the DP of one of my most successful films is at a major Academy Award winning film festival in this neighborhood. And he didn't come to a single screening of it, my DP, because he was so resentful that my movie got in and his movie didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
that
so
happened.
but sabotaging you totally could happen. Totally be
Yeah.
intentionally trying to destroy your movie.
Yeah, I ended up having to take over the project the last
It'd be
2
easier just to
weeks.
edit yourself. And DIT and
did.
editing, I mean, those are jobs like any, you can do, of course,
Yeah.
in post, but also DIT. What?
Yeah.
The DIT guy is causing the set problems. He
Well,
downloads
yeah.
footage and labels the file.
I did find out later that I guess his project that he submitted to get, as his capstone project didn't get picked. And so I think that was part of it, because only 2 people got picked for the whole year for all the seniors.
Where did he go to school?
UVU.
Oh, UVU. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in that year, that was the first year they had picked 2 people. So there was even more.
Yeah.
But I know he was really mad he didn't get picked. So,
So there you go.
yeah.
No, again, film jealousies. That's the interesting thing for me. Like, especially like I work in documentary film and I work in fiction film and I work in documentary photography. And it's just in documentary photography, like in documentary film, egos are pretty small. I mean, even like the biggest people, because they have to interface with their subjects who are normal people. So it's hard for egos to get anywhere. And also they're kind of the type of person who's like, yeah, I like exploring humanity. I mean, they're just kind of cool people, quite frankly. But in fiction film, like, whoa, everyone sees
Yeah.
themselves as Steven Spielberg somehow. Or like, I keep using Steven Spielberg, but Christopher Nolan or whatever, Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, where did that come from? Even if they haven't done anything. In fact, the first time when I went, this was a professor at BYU, actually. I asked him, like, because I asked him, so how do you get people to help with your movie? He said, well, whatever you do, don't hire anybody until they show you something they've actually made. Because you'll be surprised how many people in film are going around without saying there's something when they've actually never done it. And I was like, really? And then it happened to me. My first movie, first short, a actor on it was like, I hate your script. I'm a screenwriter. I can rewrite it for you. And I was like, okay, can you show me some scripts you've written just so I can see where you're coming from? And he's like, well, actually, I don't have any. I was like, well, okay. Well, here we are, aren't we?
Yeah.
I have a script and you don't.
Yeah.
So anyway, so what else? Do you have any other stories like that?
Well, speaking of like not having enough experience, in my last short, a couple of the actors that I met at a film festival came up to me and they're like, hey, we're actors. We'd love to work with you and do something. And so I ended up writing something really quick for them in mind. And one of the actors bailed on me the day before. She's like, I can't be there all day. And I was like, what do you mean? It's an all-day shoot.
Yeah.
She didn't understand that the time was all day.
Actors don't know. And that's why it's good to hire like an actor who's like acted. Because they
Yeah.
know that they don't realize, they think it's just like, well, what? I'll show up, I'll be pretty, and I'll be gone in 1 hour.
So that
Yeah.
was my fault. I should have vetted them out a little longer. It was just a really quick turnaround. I was doing it in 3 weeks.
And
by
she
the
wouldn't
time.
cancel whatever she was going to. She was that uncommitted.
No, and the weird thing is she ended up coming to the shoot the following day for like an hour. And then the
Just
guy,
to like watch.
yeah, because she was with her boyfriend was also in it. And he stayed the whole day the first day. And then the next day he had to leave early. And I was just like, okay, these people have never acted before on a film set.
Well, also they don't realize what a blessing is to actually be cast in something.
Right.
I mean, that's the other thing. It's like, look, you actually, and that's in a way why it's better just to get people who are in agencies and so on, because you cast your friend, you run into problems like that.
Yeah, and I've lucked out in the past, but yeah, that one, it ended up working out. I mean, it was a little stressful and it didn't turn out as great as I hoped it would, but I knew it was a last minute project, so it was just something to do for fun. And I kind of just left it at that. But yeah, next time I'm vetting people out a lot longer.
Well, I mean, in a way, I think like being very clear, and honestly, I think even when you're onboarding people to an independent project, it's very easy to be like, oh, it'll be easy. It'll be like that, be a breeze. Just come help me,
Yeah.
But like being clear, like, no, we're going to shoot a 12-hour day. You need to be there all 12 hours. It's going to be hot. It's going to be uncomfortable. And just being upfront with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in a way, those are the people you want with you because they're not going to bail mid-project.
Right, yeah.
So I even like, I'm going to do this next time. I've talked about this before. I'm even going to like write a form saying, we're a small independent film. These things, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go work someplace else, that's great. This is it. And have people sign it. So they're aware up front.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
Yeah. In fact, was it? I don't know if it was Shackleton. I think it might have been Shackleton. Some great explorer of the great exploring age. Mm-hmm. He needed people to go to the South Pole with him or something. And it wasn't Shackleton. It was an American, I think. I'm pretty sure it's San Francisco. Anyway, I don't know. But anyway, what he did is he ran a want ad in the major paper of the city saying, going on expedition, high chance of death, probably will never come back, may never reach our destination. Apply at this address.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of people show up.
Yeah.
And those were the people he wanted. I love that story.
Yeah, no, that's
because
great.
like there you go.
Yeah,
that's independent
you do want
film.
those people, that you do, especially in like independent film, because you're working with little to no money. You want to work fast. You want people who have your back, and you want people who are going to work as hard as you are on set, because you can't do it alone. Like you do need an army of people to do it with you. So yeah, that's really funny.
That's funny. Another parallel story. I had a girlfriend who was like in like 4 different bands as things go. And she would like try to organize practices with her bands. And she's like, what I've learned is everyone wants to be in a band, but not everyone wants to like work in a band.
Right. Yeah.
And that's another thing. It's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll be in your band. Oh, we have to rehearse? Oh man, I didn't know that happened. I just wanted to stand on stage and be cool.
Yeah, what I've learned is a lot of people don't understand how actually grueling being on set can be, like after a 10-hour day when you're rolling around in the sun and everyone's dirty and tired and you're trying to get this last shot before the sun goes down. Like a lot of it can be very stressful, and you do want people who can hustle, and a lot of it, time is money on set. So.
Oh no. Oh, definitely. Yeah. And especially when you're burning your own money, your own hard-earned money. I mean, like when you're shooting like an art thing, like people are like, I'm like, no, this isn't a commercial. Like we don't have a company behind this. Like you realize like I made X amount an hour and this is what we do. Yeah. Like you're not extracting money, So yeah, like you're robbing from someone just as poor as you. If you're like trying to bilk more money out of the production. So yeah. And again, you made like, oh, well, they're my friend. Like, nope, they're not. You're paying them. They're not your friend. They're your employee. And that you just ruined. In a way, that's the argument not to hire friends. Yeah. Because you'll turn them not into a friend if you employ them.
Yeah, I don't hire friends unless it's maybe like a quick acting role. Then I'm just like bossing them around. But other than that, no, because many people don't understand that it's an all-day thing. So
yeah, actually, I'm going to share this. It's kind of a sad thing. It's a sad commentary on film. But I own a rental company, and I've hired a number of people, and generally, some of them have come from. Generally, they come from set life. Every single one of them has said when they start, "Oh, it'll be great. All my friends will come visit me." How many friends have we had on set visit them? Zero set friends ever showed up is we're conveniently located. We're right by. No one stops in and says, hey, how are you doing? It never happens. Film sets, people are friendly on film sets because they want to be hired and they want to network, but they're not your friends, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's a hard thing for people to face,
Yeah.
you know? And they confuse it, you know, because we want to be friends and they're, you know, they're cool, interesting people, but, you know, yeah, not a single one. And this is over multiple people. It's not any one person. And they're all, you know, congenial. And you could say, oh, they're big jerks or something. No, they're not.
Yeah.
Just nobody has ever come to visit them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've picked up orders if like it coincides with work and they're happy to see each other, but it's never, no one's going to take time out of their day to just say hi.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Anyway, well, that's great. So what camera do you use? Use Blackmagic? We're going to do a tech talk. Why do you like that camera?
You know, I've just used it in the past so much. I've shot 3 or 4 short films on it now, and I love how easy it is to use. I love how small it is. The 6K Pro has built-in ND filters, which
That's
I
true.
love running
It's
around.
compact.
It's very compact.
And it's very affordable.
And it's affordable, yeah. And building it out, I think I've spent $7,000 on it.
Which in film land is like very little.
Very cheap.
Yeah.
That's so cheap. I tell that to people are like, oh my gosh. I was like, no, it's really cheap. And
Yeah.
I'm planning on shooting some stock footage here soon now that I'm freelancing more and trying to DP more too, because I just love the camera. It's just really fun and easy to use.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's one thing I like about your Instagram channel. It's like the joy of filmmaking. You're
Yeah.
like, I want to get out and shoot. Whereas
Mhm.
like once you've done it for money for a bit, it's often people kind of get like, yeah, no, I'm not going to go. I mean, you don't do it just for fun. Like unless someone's paying you, you don't do it.
Yeah,
You know?
no, like I definitely bought it to invest in myself and to, you know, make a career out of it and, you know, hopefully use it on bigger projects or whatever else to make money off of it. You know, it's not just for fun. Like I do love it, but it is work.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
No, that's
yeah.
great. That's good. Yeah. Well, you got good motivation on that.
Mhm.
Well, that's great. So like your Instagram channel, like what has it been like? I mean, Instagramming your ups and downs, because you can post like when you get laid off and stuff. It's not all sun and roses on your thing. on your
Yeah,
channel.
no, I can't pretend. Can't pretend like everything's all good all the time.
If someone's doing that in filmmaking, they're lying.
Plus, yeah, and then
Even if they're Tom Cruise, I'm not
it's
kidding.
it's not realistic. It's not authentic.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I just want to like talk to like-minded people who are also in film. I've made a lot of friends all over the world. Talk to people from all walks of life. I've had people, like I wrote a book on storytelling, and I've had people put it in their classes at a university in Australia. Like there's so many cool little stories of meeting people who are in film who are also struggling like I am in film, who are also my mentors and also inspiring. So I try and think about what I would want to see and what would be inspirational for me. And I do like encouraging people to do film because that's what I love. I can't imagine doing anything else. And I feel like if I feel like that, then probably a lot of other people do too.
That's
So,
good.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
Mhm.
So I've seen some comments. Again, fun fact, I have yet to be sexually harassed on this channel. I've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I have never been sexually harassed on the RGB podcast. I'm looking for like, what's that guy OF? Or I'm getting OnlyFans vibes. He's just trying to catfish me. I just don't get that ever. And it's kind of a great sadness in my life. I'm like,
Tragedy.
come on, what's the deal? Don't you want, you
Yeah.
like this? You want some more of this? So I don't know. So, I mean, I do feel like I've read some of your comments and people aren't always respectful.
Yeah.
So what is that like?
You know, after a while, you just get used to it. My mom always says negative attention is better than no attention at all. So I know a lot of these
Sunny
people
view. It's true.
are just trolling. They just want attention. They're jealous. They don't know me. They see a cute girl and they're like, this girl is just. I don't know why someone would go to this length to pretend to be a filmmaker, but that's kind of the vibe I get from people is
They want to
you're just pretending.
pretending.
You don't know what you're doing. You have no skills.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to tear you down, and
Like, why do they want? I just don't get it either.
I don't know.
Oh, I did actually. I don't know. I don't know the motivation. To me, there must be a great hollowness inside them somewhere,
Yeah.
especially like a nice person like yourself.
It's
like,
jealousy.
why do you want to do it?
At
Jealousy,
the end of the day,
you know.
it's people
Maybe it's
thinking.
because you have 20,000 followers.
Well, and it's people thinking that I had an easy ride, which is so far from the truth.
Actually,
and
yeah.
I'm not even close to like where I thought I would be in my career at this point. And it took me 6 years to graduate from school. Like, it has not been easy to get here. And I've built my social media since 2018. So like, I've put a lot of work into this to try and like build something out of nothing.
Yeah.
Even though I got my degree, but they don't see that. They just want to see whatever they want to see. I just like delete them now. I don't even respond.
You don't? Well, that's probably better. I did have somebody say on the RGB podcast that I had no right to speak because I was a white man.
Oh.
That because I didn't have color in my skin, that I had no right to speak, which is interesting. It's like
interesting.
kind of wow. But that's definitely a vibe in the film world.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think this is another thing I've noticed, and to me, I think it's admirable that like you're a filmmaker. You're not actress / filmmaker. Like you're a filmmaker, right?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I don't act.
Yeah, and so that's great. I think that shows a real commitment to the craft and to the medium.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think like there's a thing, and you can kind of see it in the Barbie movie. Like the Barbie movie is not the way the life of a woman who looks like Barbie is like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I've noticed this. Like I've had a couple of girlfriends who kind of look like Barbie up that alley anyway. No one looks like Barbie, but yeah. I guess looks like, who's the actress who plays Barbie?
Margot Robbie.
Yeah. Who kind of looked like Margot Robbie. That's like a real life person.
Mm-hmm.
And people think that like if you're good looking, you don't have problems. But no, they have problems. And honestly, my observation is that a lot of women are really mean to them. Like a lot. Like they just can't be friends with people because other women, because they're like jealous or get threatened. In fact, I even had somebody close to me just tell me that she lost her entire friend group in high school because who was her best friend at the time thought she was trying to steal her boyfriend when she wasn't, but just felt threatened. So she was completely ostracized.
Yeah.
So they have a problem with women, but then they also have a problem with men, particularly men who just don't navigate that level of girl. It's like they get projected on them everything that they hate in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You'll just see them and like some guy will just be like, "Whoa, did you just say that?" I mean, just totally uncalled for.
Mm-hmm.
But like it just makes them angry, and they take it out on somebody who's good looking.
Yeah, I know that's what it is. They just think that everything gets handed to me for whatever reason. And I would argue that it's usually the opposite. It's usually harder for me to get taken seriously. It's usually harder for me to convince people that I know what I'm doing because I look a lot younger than I am. Like there's so many like little things, and I'm not a very dominating person. I'm pretty introverted and stuff like that too. So I know people don't know me as well, kind of think that I'm more timid and passive and stuff like that too. So
also, I think if you're good looking, if you're good looking and shy or introverted, people think you're stuck up because they're like, "Oh, she should be totally extroverted because she's good looking. Everybody wants to talk to her." But they're
it doesn't help that I have anxiety. So I'm probably having an anxiety attack if I'm not talking to you. There's a lot of little things going on. I have social anxiety. Like I can do stuff behind the camera, but in person, it's a lot harder for me unless I'm on a film set. For some reason on a film set, I'm completely extroverted and excited. And it's just, a place where I feel extremely comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, I'm pretty quiet. And I know a lot of people have thought I'm stuck up in the past because of that. Unfortunately, I'm not, but I'm very quiet. So to my own detriment. I don't know.
To your own detriment.
I'm trying not to.
Yeah. Well, also, I think as a woman, this is a woman in general. I think it's easier to get people's attention, but it's harder for people to take you seriously.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And so coincidentally, back to the Barbie movie. But so what the Barbie movie misses is that honestly, Barbie's only friend is Ken. because he's the only guy who can hang with Ken without Barbie, without feeling threatened. Because other women feel threatened by her and other men feel super threatened by her. So in a way, like a Ken dude is the only guy who can hang with her and just treat her like a normal person.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really quite a lonely life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it can be.
It can be.
It feels weird to talk about. Like,
your boyfriend kind of looks like Ken, coincidentally.
Yeah.
He does. I saw his picture.
He does.
He's got like forearms as big as my biceps.
Yeah, he gets mistaken for a celebrity all the time.
There you go.
Go
there
out.
you go.
So yeah, and he's also very introverted and shy and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff too. So yeah, it's interesting from that side of it. People don't really see it. They just think, oh, you have everything handed to you kind of thing. And it's not true at all. So
Not true at all. No, true at all.
I get attention and that's nice, but it's not going to get me a job essentially.
No, it's true.
That's not, I'm not going to get paid to show up and look cute. Like, I don't know what these people think I'm doing on set and who's in charge, but it's definitely me. So
Yeah. Well, honestly, and that's the director is like one of those jobs that like, until you've actually done it, nobody knows how hard it is.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. And a lot of people think it's showing up and just telling people what to do, and they don't understand all the pre-production that goes into it, and all the thought and processes and how exhausting it can be, especially by the end of it. By the time you're done editing, it's a marathon by the end of it. My short took me a year to edit off and on because I moved and there was all these other things happening. And it was a long time, and I was really scared to put it out too because I had put so much pressure on myself and so much time put into this.
Yeah.
And I had DP'd it too, and it was kind of the first dark comedy that I'd done, and it was a little scary to put out there. So I put a lot of work into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so glad I did. I finished it. I made something out of it from nothing. So, but yeah, a lot of people will never see that side of it, all that stress that went into it. No one will ever see that when they watch the movie.
No, and that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point, is to make it look easy, to make it look like when you're watching a movie, like, I guess if you're in film, it kind of ruins films because you're like, you're watching a scene, you're like, oh my goodness, that's so much work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired even watching this. But like, if you just, that's it, like Indiana Jones, any of the action sequences look so exhausting to shoot.
Yeah.
But that you don't think about that. You're just like, wow, what an adventure Indiana Jones is having.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that is fantastic. It's been really great talking to you.
Yeah.
And like and subscribe. I forgot to say that at the beginning. Like and subscribe, the RGB podcast. We're climbing in views. Our views are up 30% over last month on TikTok.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
So we went from 10,000 a month to 15,000 on TikTok alone. Overall, we're like at 50,000 a month. So we're growing, but we would love to have more people like and subscribe, and come check out more great future episodes. RGB podcast. Oh, and also go to redfinchlab.com and get all your analog film processed. There we go. I love seeing commercials. Anyway, best of luck. We're looking forward to seeing more people, wonderful people like you, and best of luck with your future projects. All right.
Thanks. Yeah.
Have great.